Got to create a pathway on this platform that we've poured all our concrete for. So we have an access point, a sort of step system here. We're ready for our first load of concrete, so it's easy for us to shovel, start agitating it to get all the air bubbles out and to get a nice smooth finish on the concrete. The cornerstone is the key block. We want everything tight.
Close the door and leave the light on. The morning light should be coming soon. Kick off your shoes and leave the winter and the pain it brings to you. Lay your head upon my shoulder. Shut off your thoughts and clear your mind.
In today's episode, we've got to create a pathway on this platform that we've poured all our concrete for. So we're going to be filling the top part of the ramp with gravel. We also need to build some small forms to complete the platform. So then we can fill this with gravel and build a temporary ramp to bring our wall blocks in.
Take the wall, you built to hide behind it all. We're all fighting wars.
To start this part of the project, we're going to bring in gravel with our tub to fill this top ramp area. This first batch of gravel is just to get the patio area flush to our threshold at the top of our ramp. We just continue to dump wheelbarrows full of gravel to fill up this ramp area. So we have an access point to bring in the concrete for this form we're going to be building.
When your heart's run dry and your lungs run dry, there's nothing you can do and you can't deny. Every day ends up just the same.
We're just using our rake to spread this out and then stomping it down with our feet to get some compaction. I'm just adding this timber as a temporary prop to hold the gravel up. The gravel we're using here is specifically designed for using in foundation and has a mixture of large and small gravel pieces with stone dust mixed in to create a really compact base.
Take my hand, lead me to the promised land, where it's built to last, where the river runs.
This is the last wheelbarrow of gravel we're going to need for this process so we can get on with pouring the concrete in these forms. This is what the concrete platform is going to look like once we've finished our pour and the concrete's dry and we've ripped off our formwork.
I'm running out of time,
Doing everything that I can.
With our formwork constructed and in place ready for concrete, we have a few more things to prepare before we pour. Firstly, we're going to install a sort of step system here, so our wheelbarrow full of concrete can rest safely on the edge of where we need to pour all this concrete. I'm just using a couple of our scrap timbers and a piece of plywood to make this sturdy for the process.
in the cold Montgomery rain. Words ring out like a smoking gun, trying to find a reason but I ain't got one.
After wetting all our formwork down, we're ready for our first load of concrete. As within previous concrete pours, our first batch of concrete contains bondcrete so it can stick to the pre-existing concrete we have on our slabs that we've already poured. I've set this system up today so it's easy for us to shovel the wet concrete out of our wheelbarrow and into our forms. Whilst we're dumping this concrete into our forms, we're always careful to make sure the rebar is going to end up in the right position for the concrete pour. We just empty the full contents of this barrow full of concrete with our shovel and then start agitating it with our trowel and crowbar.
You shape my destiny to be the best of me.
I'll stake my claim right here where I stand.
We just work the concrete into all the nooks and crannies and keep trying to get the air out of it so we get a good contact with the previous slab. And we pay extra attention to working the concrete hollow block with our crowbar.
Words ring out like a smoking gun, trying to find a reason but I ain't got one. Taking me down, wash away the rain. Get a cold Montgomery.
the third concrete pour we've done on this project, and we've approached them all differently. The first one, I just dumped the concrete into a special made tub and shoveled it through the system from there. Last time we used small plastic tubs because we couldn't get the wheelbarrow close enough to where we wanted to pour the concrete. And this time I'm just shoveling it out of the tub.
Take the wall, you built a high behind it all. We're all fighting wars, no one knows.
After agitating the concrete with our crowbar, we always tap the forms with our hammer to get all the air bubbles out and to get a nice smooth finish on the concrete. As I mentioned before, the first part of this concrete mix had bondcrete in it to help it bond to our pre-existing foundations. The rest of the batches don't have bondcrete in them, but I have put an accelerant in it, so this concrete will set up much faster than normal. This way we'll be able to pull off our forms tomorrow and continue on this project.
In the cold Montgomery rain, words ringing like a smoking gun. Trying to find a reason, but I ain't got a one. Taking me down, wash away the pain. In the cold Montgomery rain.
The form we're creating today completes the edges of this square platform. It's starting to look more complete now that we've added these two walls. Often when you're building a relatively complicated structure like this, you have to do it in multiple sessions of building forms and pouring concrete because it would be too complicated to build in one giant piece.
Soak my skin, cleanse the guilt I feel within. Promise everything, take me home.
The other technically difficult part of building this project was the whole point of this project is to create an access point to a lower backyard, and this is our only access point for all our construction materials and tools. So we have to complete this phase of the project so we can bring in all the hollow concrete block to build the retaining wall. So by getting this ramp and platform system complete, we can fill it with gravel and then use our wheelbarrow to bring in all the block we're going to need for this wall.
In the cold Montgomery rain, words ringing like a smoking gun. Trying to find a reason, but I ain't got one. Taking me down, wash away the pain. In the cold Montgomery rain.
After smoothing off our concrete with our trowel, we give it one final tap with our hammer to keep the air bubbles out. Whilst we let this concrete harden up, we're going to move some blocks in to get ready to build our block wall.
Keep staring at the signs, but I'm running out of time.
I'm preparing a place to store our concrete block on this reclaimed hillside that we've been dumping all our excavation on. So I just smoothed it out. We're using a pallet to stack our block on so we can keep it undamaged and neat and ready for our construction of our wall.
When your heart's done trying and your luck's run dry, there's nothing you can do when you can't deny. Every day ends up just the same.
We're using our wheelbarrow to transport this block in. It was delivered outside the property on the roadside, so it's a fair distance to bring it in. And we want to be extra careful because this split face concrete block is going to be all exposed. We don't want any damage to the product. Whilst we're moving all this block on site, there's one process I want to carry out, which is to smooth off the little mold edges that get formed on this block when they pour the concrete into the molds. These can get in the way of when you're laying out your block. So we smooth these off under their own weight on a piece of concrete, a bit like sandpaper. This will stop the wall from falling out of alignment when we dry stack it later.
Wait for you, that's all I ever seemed to do. Did everything you wanted to, now I'm done. Take the wall, you built a high behind it all. We're all fighting wars, no one knows.
We previously built this temporary step platform over our foundation for this very purpose of moving materials and equipment into our job site safely.
To share my destiny, to be the best of me.
I'll stake my claim right here where I stand.
When your heart's done trying and your luck's run dry, there's nothing you can do when you can't deny. Every day ends up just the same. In the cold Montgomery rain, words ringing like a smoking gun, trying to find a reason, but I ain't got a one. Taking me down, wash away the pain. In the cold Montgomery rain.
With enough blocks stacked on our pallet to get our wall started, it's time to take a break and enjoy this beautiful countryside that I get to work in every day.
Take my hand, lead me to the promised land, where it's built to last, where the river runs. Soak my skin, cleanse the guilt I feel within. Promise everything, take me home.
After all the work we've done to prepare for this block wall, we're finally ready to start our dry layout, which is the first part of the process to getting this wall built.
We're going to place the first block of this wall, the cornerstone.
The cornerstone is the key block because all the other blocks are going to join to this cornerstone, and because we're doing a dry set, we want everything tight to this corner. And this corner lines up to our deck, which is part of our architectural design to make this wall look like it belongs here.
Every day ends up just the same. In the cold Montgomery rain.
With our cornerstone in the right position, we're ready to start joining the other blocks. But before we join our other blocks, we have to do some cutouts on our wet saw for the engineering aspect of this wall. We have to cut slots in these blocks so the rebar can join the blocks together. So join us in our next episode as we cut and prepare the blocks and do a dry set layout and get this wall started.
Keep staring at the sign, but I'm running out of time.
Doing everything that I can.
To shape my destiny, to be the best of me.
So the first course is laid. Just going to fill that with a little bit of concrete to lock it in before we put our next course on.
Something you can do when you can't deny. Every day ends up just the same. In the cold Montgomery rain, words ringing like a smoking gun, trying to find a reason, but I ain't got a one. Taking me down, wash away the pain. In the cold Montgomery rain.
Thanks for joining me this week on my YouTube channel. Check the link below, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe button or make a comment so I can help you with your future construction solutions. And don't forget to follow our channel for more ideas and how-to tips for home and garden projects.